especially the health sector professionals, and I'm an odd man out in that sense, because working government in various fields, and not especially in the area of health, what do we do here and talk about it? See, we work on a program called Common Service Centers. Some of you heard, some may have. We have got now about 140,000 centers across the country. These are front end in rural India, managed through an ICT framework. Means he has basic computing infrastructure, he has connectivity, and he is supposed to deliver services to rural India. These front end are operated and managed by an entrepreneur belonging to the same community and living in the same village. That is in essence. See, essence of the Common Service Center is that it is operated by the same person who lives in the same village, and therefore his credibility is higher. And that credibility in rural India is far more required for healthcare as compared to other services we deliver. We deliver financial services, with that he becomes a banking correspondent. We do a lot of other works for government, and the whole essence of our Common Service Centers is that it's far more credible than any other alternative mechanism. Even the alternative mechanism of a government structure like panchayats, which works in rural India. So the credibility which I thought was very essential for the purpose of healthcare is what CSCs provide for. What are the CSCs and how many CSCs are now working and what do they do? As I said, it's part of a Government of India plan to set up front end. There are 250,000 panchayats, and the new phase of CSC is setting up one common service center in every panchayat. That means there's one private enterprise and entrepreneur who deliver both government and non-government service to the people. Buy a car or a motorcycle in rural India, first time the insurance done, second time the fellow doesn't know where to get the insurance done. So we are enabling that to happen through our system, and there are various guidelines now. In fact, first time in the world, not only in India, Common Service Centers actually has been recognized for delivering insurance products and services as a sub-broker. The concept of sub-broker has been actually brought into largely because of the Common Service Centers scheme. That means he can sell insurance product and service to all the 51 companies for enabling this. And the 3% of insurance product and service can extend it to large population. We do pension, we do banking, we do insurance, we do UID work, we do some education work, and we do also deliver passport application. We just started this. About 15,000 of people have so far filled up their passport application through Common Service Centers. We do have 9 lakh of UID cards printed through Common Service Centers. As I said, that is huge. We collect about 25 lakh rupees every day insurance premium for LIC every day. We collect about 2 crore electricity bill collection through our system almost every day. So that is what is the potential of Common Service Centers. The whole idea is to create enterprise and entrepreneurship and then sustain business entity to deliver services. As I said, the journey has been tough, but now the road looks better for our entrepreneurs. The good thing is our entrepreneur all over the country belongs to the age group of between 25 to 35. They are young, they want to continue, and they want to live in a village and build enterprise. We have somebody in Parvada in Andhra Pradesh who is an IIT from Mumbai, an AmTech guy who also is a Common Service Center operator. So I have good stories of people who actually want to set up in rural India and build an enterprise. So the idea is to how do you do healthcare now? What is that Common Service Centers can now lead into healthcare? We have done some experiments. We've not been a great story because we are not able to build a business around healthcare. Healthcare needs huge capital investments. Plus there are legal issues still to be sorted out. Telemedicine doesn't have a real good legal framework. And that question keeps on coming back to us from all the stakeholders saying that what are the legal framework for enabling telemedicine in rural India? We still have to work out. We are saying there's some discussion taking place, but there has to be a legal framework in ultimate and lessons do telemedicine. We tried most of them. I think the one which has been a great success story for us, we have done, there are about, now the number is not correct, but there are about 2,000 centers which are now for Apollo telemedicine. We do telemedicine. That has been a great story. Thanks to Apollo and their team, they really helped, and they really created a space for first time building a real commercial business model for telemedicine in rural India. As I said, we are struggling, we are trying to do, there's a lot of advocacy required. There's a patience in rural India, marketing is different. It is not one time. Any product which you sell in rural India takes huge effort in marketing, huge efforts in confidence building, and huge excitement for all the stakeholders in order to propagate that. But I think over a period of time, we have now learned all this, And Apollo's, thanks to Apollo team, again, they have been able to create this. The one thing which the other thing which we did was an experiment in Tripura, 40 blocks, 40 centers on ophthalmology. It's a great story, but the Tripura is a great state in the sense that it's funded completely. So the capital costs and the operating costs were all provided by Tripura government. So there's a model of that nature which works. It has done fantastic because to us, when we implemented the project, actually that point of time, the eye care looks very good for telemedicine because eye care is largely, most of the diseases of eye can be identified through a photograph, and the connectivity also was built in. The issues of connectivity got resolved in those remote locations we built in the framework. Thanks to the team again here. Now they presently, the one who built the team is part of the Apollo structure, and he's the one who has still driven the whole program and implemented it. As I said, it's recognized all over, but we're not able to replicate because replication in government actually has big challenges. So the ophthalmology has been very successful, but is capital intensive, it's risk-free, there are no legal complication because most of the diagnostic part can be done remotely, and the advisory of the doctor is also largely preventing in telemedicine, in ophthalmology. So therefore, there's no risk that nobody dies. You can actually get antibiotic or a lacuna to be provided if there are diseases of eye in that nature. So ophthalmology is a phenomenal success story for telemedicine, but the capital costs still become an issue for us to really work out. Who provides the capital? Since it's a capital intensive compared to other models in that area. What do we do? How do we really go about? The one thing which we have not been able to really work out is diagnostic. See, one thing, I think in rural India, the common service centers, which this framework, geographically equitably spread, can actually do fantastic work in diagnostic and can really build out a real commercial model for diagnostic. We don't need government support for diagnostic, and you can really build a model out. We are talking to some of these diagnostic labs, and we have been exciting them. They are trying to work out, can we build a model? To us, in the common services space, I think diagnostic can be a first mechanism in order to get to rural India. Once you build diagnostic, build confidence, give the interface to the community, then get into telemedicine, and then get to the other larger capital intensive frameworks of doing the things. As I said, our journey has not been not large. I can show you some of the pictures of what we do this is done in Ajmer. Ajmer is one of the NOFN centers where National Optical Fiber centers were set up. And fortunately, the connectivity issue get resolved in another 2 years' time. By March, I was told by the ministry, by March 2015, 1 lakh panchayats will get NOFN connectivity. That means the connectivity, which is a big challenge in rural India, these panchayats will provide the framework for enabling connectivity. Connectivity will be there, the power issues are also being addressed, the entrepreneur exists, and the computing infrastructure exists. What we need is, we need a good commercial model to sustain and the community to pay for it. So these are some of the issues I thought I will share with you. As I said, we are done with two. We are done with Apollo. We are done with Venu Eye Care. We are also done with Medanta. Medanta is a part of the CSR activity in some of the centers, and they were fantastic, unbelievably good. There's a public health center in front of the patient, but they still come to this telemedicine and doesn't go to the PSC physically for showing to them. The credibility is phenomenal. How do you build and how much commercial models you can create? That is the only issue which need to be addressed. We did something with Venu Eye Care for ophthalmology. These centers are also self-sustaining, but the capital cost has been partly subsidized or partly by Government of India, but it is still, we are not able to recover anything out of this. As I said, telemedicine is the solution for rural India. Just to conclude, because it is true that no doctor will go to rural India, and creating half-hearted doctors and through other programs is not a solution to rural India. If doctors will not go to rural India, then telemedicine actually is a way forward for meeting the requirements of rural India. How to build a commercial model is an issue. How much the state and the government will support. Will they still keep on working through the traditional way of sub-center, public health center, ASHA workers, and keep on spending money and resources which has a limited value, or try and support a public-private partnership commercial model for sustainability and its reach to rural India? As I said, there's some program on Media Asia Lab which is also done on healthcare. We also implemented this. not been a great success story. Our experiments have been only very limited in that sense. What in nutshell I want to put across, we have a framework, these rural India outlets run by enterprise is a great opportunity for all rural health professionals, all health professionals, in order to really reach and extend that through the use of thing. We need to sit together, work out some mechanism, what we can do in order to make it commercially viable. In my own view, if you can live without government, there is nothing like it. If you have to deal with government, it's going to be hell. It's not going to be a very pleasant experience. You will keep on struggling. Somebody will say, somebody will change, again create problem. But if you can really build up, I am sure that for two things which we tell in rural India, when we talk about CSC, people are willing to pay. People are willing to pay for the education of their children, and people are willing to pay for their health. If they're willing to pay, we need to work out a good model, a good commercial model. But just don't depend on government. Government is too difficult to deal with. And having worked for such a long period in government, you are not going to be very happy. You will come with a bad taste, you deal with government. It's not going to be an easy proposition to get money and resources. Even if they make your life so hell that you will never get second time to those guys to get resources. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Dinesh, for that address. Very informative. So even though you touched upon many issues, I think telemedicine is the name of the game. That's a way forward. But whether it's telemedicine, teleradiology, telediagnostics, I think the success factor is the good connectivity in the rural area. So even though you shared about some progress being made in some pockets on this front, but I think by and large that remains a big obstacle in promoting these concepts further. And let's hope that in the times to come we see better connectivity in rural India for these concepts to flourish. I'd now like to call upon our second panel speaker, Mr. Arvind Kumar.